Hi, let's talk about diastasis recti. I will just quickly explain what it is and what to look out for before we go into the actual exercise. So your abdominals run from your ribcage to your pubic symphysis, and there are two sides to them. So you have the right side and the left side, and then obviously the segments, horizontal segments as well. You can see this on a six-pack where you have the it's actually 8 different sort of little segments there. So the middle line, which is connective tissue connecting those two sides, your right side and your left side, is called your linea alba. And during pregnancy, the linea alba stretches apart a little bit to accommodate the growing baby. After pregnancy, those two sides of your abdominals tend to come back together on their own with time, and sometimes they don't. So if that gap stays quite wide, that is then called a diastasis recti. And the general guideline is if the gap is wider than 2 finger widths, that's then where we want to be a bit careful about different do's and don'ts, and want to do everything we can to bring those two sides a bit closer together. When we check for the diastasis recti, we check along that linea alba, all along from your ribcage down towards your pubic symphysis. And you might find that it's a little bit different depending on where you are. It's very common that it's a little bit wider around the navel. So when you check for diastasis recti, you don't only check for the width of that gap that might be there or not, but you also check for the depth and also whether the connective tissue is quite soft or whether it's actually sort of pushing back. There's a little bit of tension behind that. So if you find it's still quite wide apart and quite soft, so you can actually dig the fingers quite deep in, then please see your healthcare professional to get an assessment and individual advice. So just in terms of general guidelines with do's and don'ts, if you suspect you have a diastasis recti, please have a look at the PDF that comes with your course, do's and don'ts, and there I just outlined a few things to be aware of when you do any exercise, but also during your sort of day-to-day activities. So make sure, if in doubt, see your healthcare professional, your women's health physiotherapist, to get a proper assessment on your situation, and then they can give you more detailed advice on what to do next. And the other thing is, if you've had a C-section, the advice is not to do curl-ups for the first 5 months. So the Diastasis Recti Check is a gentle curl-up. Wait for a while until the abdominals have recovered from surgery and your doctor gives you the all clear, or maybe your doctor can do the check for you. So with no further ado, let's have a look at the actual exercise.
Lie on your back with one hand behind your head, and then you take 2 fingers and find that small gap in between your abdominals. If you're not too sure what you're feeling for, you may want to wiggle the fingers a little bit from side to side, and you will feel the abdominal wall on either side. So then, as you can see, we just do gentle curl-ups, keeping the pelvis in neutral. You breathe in to prepare, out to draw the navel to spine, and gently curl the head and upper back up. As you do that, you will feel the abdominals on either side come a little bit closer together. You will be able to feel them a bit more strongly, and your want to feel how many fingers you can fit into that gap. It might be 1, it might be 3 or 4. And you also want to feel how deep you can push down. So you want to feel a bit of pushback. If it's all very soft, then we might need to wait a little bit before doing the exercises. So in general, if the gap is wider than 2 finger widths apart, please see your women's health physio before doing any of these exercises.